just kicking things. Yeah, and I'm a high school math teacher at the moment, teaching virtually.
That's hot. You trying to kill me? Hey everybody, we are the Changs. I would like to introduce you to our very first YouTube video. The whole reason we're doing this is because we want to take you along on this journey. This is the craziest thing we've ever done in our entire lives. And I want you to be a part of it.
It's more like a calculator risk.
It's a calculator. I mean, everything is a calculator risk.
I am currently a high school math teacher, teaching virtually. 2020 has been nothing short of crazy.
I'm a PA. Right now I'm working in cardiology. But we live in Baltimore. We've been married for coming up on 4 years now.
You know, it's funny because we met about 4 years ago, like last election.
Yeah. Right now, we're living in this old house. It's a 1915, very cute little craftsman house in Baltimore.
It's our first house.
It's our first house. We were very young when we bought it. We were 25 and 26 years old when we got this house. And we've been here for coming up on 3 years in December.
I guess so, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
You're right, 3 years.
So 3 years. So we didn't really know what we wanted when we bought this house. You know, we didn't know where life was going to take us, where our jobs were going to take us, what we were going to want out of life. House, it's our first home.
It felt like a dream house though when
it felt like a dream house, absolutely.
We bought this house and we have done a lot of renovations on this house, right? Like we've grown so much as a couple, as DIY enthusiasts, going from just doing like a project here and a project there to like
a full-on gut job, retrofitting a bathroom into what was a bedroom.
Things that we did that we had no idea that we were capable of.
We wanted to do, so the basement was partially finished, but you know, there was a lot of things that just didn't make sense down there, like the plumbing issue, lots of like unfinished plumbing stuff that needed to be fixed. There was a storage room that we converted into a kitchen that was just, there wasn't even framing down there. It was just a block, foundation. So our goal was to turn the basement into a rental unit. So we wanted to have its own kitchen, has its own washer, dryer, bathroom, bedroom, and like a living space. But of course the washer and dryer and everything was downstairs. And if we were having people rent it out, we wouldn't have access to our washer and dryer. So that made us, have this other epiphany. Well, if we're gonna rent that out, then we have to put in a washer dryer somewhere upstairs, and we don't have a master bathroom, so why don't we just convert this extra bedroom into a master bathroom with a washer dryer? So anyway, at a certain point over the past couple months, we basically realized that we've done a ton of the house, and the house is
don't forget the fact that once we did our master bathroom, then we finished our basement, which was our quarantine project. So, and then we listed it on the Airbnb website, around August. So right now it's November. So it's been online for a while, and honestly, it's been booked ever since. After we were done with the project, we haven't really done anything major since. And then we were trying to figure out why.
And Lina's like, what are we doing this weekend? What are we doing this weekend? What project are we doing? What can we finish it? And basically the answer to our question every single time was, we can't do anything because I can't be, sawing and using a hammer drill upstairs while we have like guests trying to sleep downstairs on the weekend. Like, basically the moral to this particular story is that we could literally sit here and dump hundreds of thousands more dollars into our house, and it would never be exactly what we want. So we had that epiphany within the past couple months, and we just got thinking.
It took us a long time. We had to fight about it for a while.
We yelling. We like couldn't 2 hours on the way home from Virginia, like a couple months ago. Like,
it's like we couldn't figure out why we were
in a rut.
Like, Alden was arguing that we were not in a rut. We were just taking a break, but it felt to me that it was like gonna last indefinitely, and we were wandering aimlessly, and then turns out we were just we didn't have a goal that was driving us. It was just like there was nothing pressing and exciting to look forward to.
What exactly do we want if this house isn't footing the bill anymore? So I think what we really wanted in a house was Lina loves to cook, and she probably loves to eat also more than I do, but I also like to eat.
Actually,
and
you also love to cook.
I do love to cook,
Yeah.
but this is definitely way more of your passion than my passion for sure.
Well, I think we both love to entertain.
So we both love to entertain also. So ideally, our house would be set up so that we had a big cooking and entertaining space, which this house, like I said, we can sit here and dump hundreds of stuff. It's just not.
And we do have a big family, and we would also like to have a big family, like to have a bunch of kids. And like this house, while it does have like space for like one or two child, but like it's not where we can host a Christmas or Thanksgiving. And I feel like that really kind of
people,
like we want to be able to do that,
And we're in the city, so we can't even like add on to our house. We're basically at max capacity as it is with our house right now. So anyway, options are just kind of inflexible when you live in the city, and then there's other things like
He has always had these fond memories of
nostalgia, man. It's just
spending hours and hours in the woods,
surreal
playing with sticks, and he wants to kind of.
My kids have something like that.
Yeah,
Teach
totally.
them archery and like fishing and like going kayaking and like all these fun things.
I think that would be cool.
But yeah, in a house, we want a big entertaining space, living area. We're also, like we were talking about, serious DIYers. We also do woodworking. Like, if you could see the table and couch that we're basically sitting on right now, is all stuff that we made. So I need a big workshop to put all of our tools and things like that.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the space here to do that either. We can't really build a bigger space here.
We were thinking about building a bigger shed. It's just like back to the same thing about how like
much money
we could
and
pour
time.
money into this house.
And we still can't have a big, huge shed. It can be like twice the size of our current shed, which is tiny, and it's still going to be
But
tiny.
then now we wouldn't have as much of a yard. So it's kind of like
yeah.
we have, in order for us to get what we want, we would have to like sacrifice a lot more. I think it just would be better if we can find a space that fits our needs better rather than stay here.
So we wanted more space, a bigger kitchen, entertaining area, a place for kids to run around, enough bedrooms for a handful of kids to have. And then, like I said, I wanted to be close to nature and things like that.
Life has to be more than just okay, I want to know what our potential is. I want to know how far can we go.
We've learned from this whole coronavirus pandemic and working in healthcare and seeing sick people in the hospital is that life is very fragile, and then we really should try at least to push ourselves and go after the things in life that we want. So this is something that we have been thinking about for a long time, and it's basically
we have been browsing on Zillow for like years. I mean, I guess that's just what we do, but
because we love architecture and houses, like
we're obsessed with houses.
We're obsessed. We like this Airbnb that we have in our basement is like the segue to our
like maybe a real estate portfolio,
everything else. So I guess what we want. So after we came to this agreement that we wanted more space and everything, we said to each other, okay, let's stop dumping tons of money into the house and just start doing the monotonous things that we don't feel like doing, like fixing the little patches of broken plaster here and there, painting, cleaning up the floors, making sure they look nice upstairs, and then eventually we would rent out the upstairs as like a very upscale 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, place with a living room, kitchen, everything like that, washer, dryer, everything. So then we'd have 2 basically Airbnb units in this house, which would be really nice.
Right,
so,
and it will give us the cash flow that we would need to do more projects.
And I saw this house maybe about a year ago, and I saved it on Zillow, way over our price range. Even wow. Anyway, it's just way over our price range. But over the past year, the price initially was posted at like $300,000. The second price was like $340,000, and then they've kind of slowly gone back over the past year. It hasn't sold. So it's an old house. I think it was built in like somewhere in the mid 1800s. It has about 7 acres of land. When the leaves fall off, it's sitting on top of a hill, and you can see a river, running through this little valley area. Anyway, nice place. Town is fair, schools are fair, whatever. But like I said, there was no point in me even like trying to look at it because it wasn't even close to our price range at the time. They had like a $16,000 price cut. So just for kicks, I was like, hey Lina, we don't have any plans this weekend. Let's just like set up a tour of this house real quick. So I just messaged the Zillow app, and they hooked us up with a real estate agent. And she said, yeah, come on over tomorrow morning. We'll check it out.
It's close to everything we would possibly want. We even made sure. that we had Aldi's right next door.
Yeah, because Lina, I don't know. Anyway, Aldi's, nobody in my family likes Aldi's because you gotta pay 25 cents and then they don't give a crap about your groceries. They just throw it in anyway. But Lina loves Aldi's, so that's what matters. So they have an Aldi's in the town. So yeah, we checked out the town. Town was pretty cool. They have a cute little main street, whatever. But we go to see the house, right? I really had no idea what to expect because, like I said, I knew the house was in serious disrepair, and that's basically why it's been sitting on the market for a year. So serious disrepair. They keep lowering the price. So something's
I think
gotta be wrong.
it's been on the market since like 2018. Like it's been on and off.
Intermittently, yeah.
So they have been wanting to sell this house for a while.
But recently, like I said, they've been lowering the price pretty consistently over the past 6 months.
So it seems like they're
or so.
very serious now.
We go to see the house. We didn't really have any expectations, right? Lina has an SUV, and I'm glad we took it because the road to get up to the house was like
there is basically no road.
Incredibly rugged. Like you have.
It's basically just a trail.
My car is like an old the car that I just sold so we could afford this house was this very old Volkswagen Jetta that sits like 2 inches off the ground. There's no way it would have possibly made it up the driveway. So anyway, but as you're going up to the driveway, you're in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses around to be seen. You drive up the road and then all of a sudden you look to the left and boom, there's this huge like Italianate mansion, this big bright white giant block of a house sitting at the very top of the hill, totally shrouded in trees. Like literally the trees are growing like on top of the house.
It was definitely very majestic. It was unlocked.
It was unlocked. The doors are standing wide open. There's a car in the driveway. I thought our real estate agent, I thought she was already there. She had beaten us there. She was just walking
Like there
around
was
the block.
already like a car there,
Yeah.
so we figured there was.
And the doors were standing wide open. So I helped myself in, and Lina had to pee because we just drove an hour and drank like 3 cups of coffee on the road. And then
So we go in, I'm here like
She's
looking
trying
for
to
the
find the
bathroom.
bathroom.
It was definitely a creepy bathroom under the stairs, like.
yeah, it's like Harry Potter. But
So we go in, and then as I'm using the bathroom, so I hear Alden saying, "Lina, where are you?"
while Lina's inside peeing, I'm outside with the real estate agent, and she says, "Where's your wife?" And I said, "She's inside." And she says, "She can't be in there alone." I'm like, "Is it haunted or something?" And she's like, "Worse. There is an old man who's heavily medicated with guns who has a tendency to jump out and scare people from around the corner while they're in that. Whatever the situation is, she just didn't trust it. She said, your wife should not be alone in the house right now." So
When we couldn't decide what to do with this house anymore, it's because that's what we wanted. We needed to have a much bigger project. Like at this point, we had already done as much like the biggest projects that we could do in this house. So we're basically ready for the next bigger challenge. And I mean, I looked around, that's all I saw was, oh my God.
There was a challenge to be had in this house. But the house had phenomenal bones. I'm talking like 11-foot ceilings, like humongous, long, tall windows, big rooms, 7 freaking bedrooms. Like this place is massive.
They counted it wrong on Zillow. It's probably because the 2 of them didn't have closets. But
anyway.
it had at least 2 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom, a whole unfinished basement. It was really cool.
Yeah, and the foundation was in excellent shape. All the floor joists that we could see were in great shape. The house in general looked pretty good. They were cosmetically absolutely horrendous. There are signs of old, water damage in the past from like a leaky bathroom. Apparently the heating situation there isn't good. They have like a coal furnace. And
Two
apparently,
of them, I think. Yeah.
2 coal basically stoves
but
sitting in the living room. Like not a furnace per se, but anyway, so apparently the heating situation wasn't great, and I think the pipes in the house froze in the past and exploded and caused some water damage. But nothing recent. We moisture metered all the spots that looked like they were damaged, and it was completely bone dry in the midst of a bunch of rain and everything.
It's true.
But it only has running water to like 1 bathroom and the kitchen down like in the first floor, so nothing else in the house has running water or any type of working plumbing, sewage. Like nothing works above the first floor. And then not to mention the property and house is just overwhelming with junk. I'm talking like 3 or 4 boats with trailers that probably don't have titles. Just tons of garbage, trash, like dilapidated, other outbuildings on the property. Like some serious work needs to be done there. But anyway, irrespective of all that, the bones are awesome. You go all the way up to the top floor, and there's like a ladder that pulls down, and you go up onto this rooftop deck that has like a 360-degree view of the entire, Elk Lake, or Elk Lake, Elk River. Anyway, just really beautiful surrounding there.
After that first visit,
we were like, oh crap, we absolutely love the house, and
we want it.
We know
we
exactly
actually need
what
it.
we want. We know exactly what we want to do. We had all these visions of like, oh, maybe we'll turn it into like a wedding venue, or we can build like a big barn and host like dance events, because we like to do like salsa and bachata dancing and stuff like that. So we have all these ideas. I could build a big workshop, the kids could run it, blah blah blah, you name it. Like, we were thinking of it, we wanted it. But so we talked to the bank. They were willing to give us a loan. Of course, we didn't want to pay what their asking price was. But so the second order of business is that we had to come up with like a 5% down payment for a conventional loan. We were prepared to offer them like basically their asking price, maybe like 1 or 2% less. And when we talked to the lender,
because we wanted it so much.
Yeah, and when we talked to the lender, especially with all the interest, the lender was like, yeah, like a 3%, less than their asking price is a very reasonable offer. I'm sure they'll take it. So whenever you're in this situation, it's always good to get a second opinion and talk to somebody, especially like you probably you of course want somebody who's experienced and knows what they're doing and who's going to be honest with you. But I would argue to say that somebody who is a naysayer is probably a good person to bring, because you want to be, ready to hear all the negatives, and you want to be like, if you're able to stand up to that kind of, somebody
scrutiny.
raining on your parade, that kind of scrutiny, then, and you still want to proceed with whatever idea you have, then it's probably a good idea.
We get sometimes so excited that we are willing to overlook all kinds of things. We're like, oh, it's fine, we'll figure it out,
Thin,
and even though it's not like it's gonna kill us if we overlook certain things, it's just that
it could. You never know. In a house that doesn't have running water or heat or anything, like, we could,
But yeah, we definitely needed
expire.
someone who was not as invested in this.
Yeah.
Like, who's not like,
who could look at it unbiased,
was somewhat unbiased,
unbiased.
than us.
Yeah.
And then, who better to ask than Alden's dad, who
So
loves...
let me talk about my parents. So my mom is very artistic and optimistic, and she's got a very creative mind. She's definitely the more optimistic one. My dad, very nuts and bolts. He wants to know the mechanics. He loves to say there ain't no way, ain't no how, and
but
he loves to rain on people's parades.
somehow together,
yeah, they make a great team.
They come up with the most ingenious ways of doing things.
They have a picture framing shop, and people come to the shop with all kinds of crazy projects, and my mom is like, she just takes it and runs with it, and then she brings it to my dad, who's the guy who kind of builds all these crazy things that my mom comes up with. And then even the things that he initially says, oh, this defies physics, this cannot be done, he finds a way to make these beautiful things happen. So good thing to have. Like, it was nice to have a perspective of somebody who's overly optimistic and somebody who's overly pessimistic, and then you get a good feel for what you're getting yourself into theoretically. So it was nice to hear both of their perspectives, and creative. And
but when we did ask, what do you think about the house, and what does he say? He's like, if I was 30,
I'll be all over this deal. I would have bought it yesterday. But he did acknowledge that it is going to require a ton of like back-breaking labor, time, and money. And he's
he said he would do it in a heartbeat if he was 30. And guess
we're
who's 30?
We're not even 30 yet. So
Yeah.
we're like a year up on it. Okay.
They did say, we should probably offer $210,000 versus, what we were going to offer, which was like $290 almost, right?
Yeah. So anyway, 210 is like, it's much lower, of course, but honestly, with the house in as terrible condition as it was, it could have been considered reasonable. I don't know. But we talked to the lender the next day when we were coming up with an offer, and he basically said that if you offer 210, there's a chance that it's going to just insult the seller and they're just going to flat out not even respond to your offer, and you know, you would end up missing out on the house. So if this is something that you truly want, you may want to consider offering more money. Well, we definitely didn't want to pay the asking price at this point after my parents told us to not pay more than like.
But now we also don't want to pay like $210, you know, either, because we're like worried this may be too low.
So
and
we
then
basically,
you know, like, it is the biggest deal of our life. Like,
yeah,
we have,
this is a huge deal,
like,
and we love to find good deals. And I think this is a great deal. The potential for this to be a phenomenal deal is there. It's just that we had to hammer out the right price.
And I mean, it is so much money we're dealing with. So we want to be in a position where it's like a win-win for both the seller and the buyer.
Right. So the best kind of deals, like, I would feel guilt if, you know, one of us walked away feeling like we'd been cheated out of, you know, a lot of money. So I think at the end of the day, if both the buyer and seller are happy with your deal, I think that's just a win for everybody. So we offer them $250. So as soon as we put the offer in, you know, we were very excited, but the listing agent came back and said, listen, we got some other offers coming in, so I mean, we can't make a decision until we get these other offers. So of course, Lina and I are like, oh, shoot,
oh my God,
maybe we should offer them more money. Maybe what should we do? And then we talked to our agent, and she said, listen, I think you guys need to put in an escalation addendum. And an escalation addendum basically, it's almost like it puts you into a bidding war. So if there is another buyer, if there's another offer, you can say, I'll offer my max price will be $10,000, but I'll bid in $1,000, $2,000 increments, whatever your increment is, $1,000 more than whatever the other guy's offer is. So, you know, theoretically they could basically bid you up until you hit your max price.
So you get to set your own max price, and you get to set your own increments. However, the risk here is
there is a risk. If
you know,
there is no other buyer, if there is no other offer on the table, and you just automatically submit this,
I mean, they see
the maximum amount that you're willing to pay. So there's a lot of times they'll just flat out
reject the original one, and then just
counter offer you with your max.
Exactly.
And there's no way to tell whether or not the listing agent is lying that there's other offers coming in. Like, there's just
or maybe
no way
it was
of knowing.
gonna come in. Like, we never know.
Yeah, it's impossible to know.
But you know, we really want the house, so we're here stressed out, and luckily our lender, we talked us off the ledge, saying like, listen, it will be fine. Just hang tight. You know, just.
He said, listen, this house has been on the market for a year. It's in horrible shape. I highly doubt that all of a sudden this is a multiple offer situation. Even our offer at $250, he said it's a competitive offer. The only thing that would really beat that, where they wouldn't come back with a counter offer, is if somebody offered them a cash deal. We waited out a couple days, nervous as hell the whole time, and then they finally countered us, and they said,
whew, and they countered us, which was super exciting. They countered us with $259. So we wanted to pay $250 with 3% seller contribution, and then they countered us with $259,000 and 2% seller contribution, and they wanted like $2,000 more in the escrow account, which is fine, you know. Like, but the thing is, we can't do 2%. We need the seller contribution.
I literally had to sell all my things to come up with this 5% down payment. I sold the Jetta that I was telling you about. I sold my Audi. I sold like a lamp. We sold chairs. We sold like half of our belongings are now to somebody in Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
But we came up. We like raised 16 grand or so in about 2 weeks
by selling half our possessions. Honestly, it's just things. You know, if we really want it, we can get it back down the road. But what we want right now is the house. So, but we do need that 3% seller contribution. So we countered back with $260K and 3% seller contribution, and of course whatever escrow they want, which is fine with us, because it's all contingent upon appraisal anyways. So, you know, down the road, if, you know, appraisal comes lower, we could renegotiate. But for now, I think that's actually great for us. I mean, that's a whole $30,000 discount that we weren't anticipating when we first went to look at the house. We're in the process of signing the initial disclosures.
And there was one more thing that we hadn't really thought of until the very last second, and I'm glad we did think about it, because it could have been just a giant mess. But anyway, we were talking about the occupant in the house who's currently there, who, like I said, it sounds like a really sad situation where the owner of the house died, and I think that occupant is a friend of the owner.
The best friend.
But apparently, you know, his living situation, everything about it is just not a good situation. And he has a lot of possessions there. Anyway, regardless, I wanted somehow to protect ourselves from, you know, like a squatter or something like that. So we had to add in an addendum that says, you know, he's got to be out by. You know,
I mean, they
48 hours
said it wouldn't be an issue, but we wanted to make sure we put that in the clause because honestly, I don't know if we're equipped to handle
that. We've been screwed
that.
over before when we got a verbal okay for something. I just wanted to lay out our 3 main goals for doing all of this in general. So I think the first thing that we want to provide by making this YouTube channel is that we want to document all of this, you know, just for our family, for you guys, just to see our process. The second thing, we want to disclose to you basically every single cost of every single thing that we do. We pride ourselves on being thrifty. We are hardcore DIYers. We're like a very comprehensive cost breakdown and analysis of everything that we do. And then just show you how we can cut, you know, costs along the way.
As of now, we're really interested in sharing our journey of wherever we are. If we can even like touch one person's life to inspire them to go after their dreams, the wildest, craziest ideas, and like just live a financially like stress-free life. There's so much that we want to share, and it feels like the right outlet for it.
And if nothing else, you can learn from our mistakes.
I mean, we're not saying we're going to teach you things.
And we're not saying that this isn't going to be a total flop, but you know, you guys are going to be here along the way to see it fail or succeed.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Wish
our
us luck.